Okay, so let's take a look and see what the next section is going to be all about, which is on polynomials. 5.2 in the textbook we've been using in our 150 class. But it's on the topic of polynomials. Some terminology, and there's a lot of it in this section. Let's see, there's four things here, four things. Sometimes we'll call it an expression. An equation is when you have an equal sign. I don't have an equal sign, so it's an expression. We call these terms, and terms are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. The numerical coefficients are the numbers that are to the left-hand side of each term. So for instance, that's a power on the y. The 4 is a numerical coefficient of this first term. So the numerical coefficient of the first term is 4. And the next term, which is negative 2y, the numerical coefficient is not just the 2, it's also the negative. So negative 2. The third term right here, the third term. Now you got to be careful because I see a 5 in the denominator. So I rewrote it like this, 1/5. So the numerical coefficient is 1/5. Remember how to multiply these if you wanted to go backwards? Straight across. 1 times w, 5 times 1, w over 5. So yeah, the numerical coefficient is 1/5. And the last term right here, gosh, the numerical coefficient is negative 1. Negative, but there's a 1 right there. We have terms, numerical coefficients. We've had powers or exponents in the past. Now we're going to have some names of how many terms gets a special title to it. If you've got one term, it's called a monomial. Notice there's no addition or subtraction sign anywhere, where this one has a subtraction. So it's separating it into two different terms. First term, second term. 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. We call it a trinomial for 3 terms, binomial for 2 terms. Anything beyond 3 terms doesn't have a special name. We would just say it's a polynomial. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 terms on this one. Then there's something called the degree of each term, or the degree of a polynomial. The degree of a term is summing or adding up the powers on each term on the variable. So for instance, here's the first term right here. There's a power of 1. So 1 and 2 make 3. Power of on the y is 1. So that's why the degree is 1, because there's only a 1. Same here. And same here. And since there's no variable here, the degree is called 0. The degree of a polynomial is the highest of these. So it's this one here. So the degree is 3. The degree of the polynomial is 3. They call it sometimes a third degree polynomial. Oh, and by the way, a polynomial, polynomial always has whole number powers. Polynomials, I have it at the top as well. Whole number powers. See, I have it at the top of this as well. I just noticed it right here. Whole number powers or exponents on the variables. Same thing here. Okay, so we've got polynomials, and now this section we get to add or subtract them. We call it combining like terms if they are in fact like. So like terms, they have the same variable. They also have the same exponents in the variables. So for instance, 1, 2, 3 terms, they have the same variable, and you just add the powers excuse me, you add the numerical coefficients. So I'll say that again. You've got 1, 2, 3 terms, all the same variables. So 3 subtract 5 is -2. Add 1 is -1. Are these like terms? Right here. Are these like terms? Like terms have to have the same variable or variables. Hey, they both have an A and they both have a B. The powers on each one of them are exactly the same. A's have cubes, B's have squares. So if that's the case, then you just combine, hey, I have 11 of those A cubed B squareds. I have 11 of them. Unlike this one, they look like they're the same, but the power on A's are different. So they're not like terms, not. 1, 2, 3 terms. Let's see. These two are like. These are like. So that's 11 of those A cubes, B squareds. And then this is the extra piece you have to tag along. Okay, like terms, I'll circle those are like. 1 subtract 2 is -1x. I'll say the 3 and the 5 are just numbers, so that's +8. And then subtract 2y. And sometimes we put the variables first and the number at the back end last. And we don't need the 1 right here. So the back of the book might have -x subtract 2y +8, but it really doesn't matter, meaning that I would take this as an answer. The back of the book might write it like that. A few more examples on adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay, now that's addition. It's not multiplication. That's addition. So I'm going to just add these terms. It's adding like terms. So it's really 2x squared, and I'm going to add 5x squared to it. And I can take -x here and add +6x. And I can take a 4 and add a -5, which is just the same as subtract 5. These being like terms, I have 7 of those x squareds. Those are like terms, so I have +5 of those x's. Remember, there's a -1 right here. -1 + 6, 5. And that's subtract 1. Now this one here, you got to be careful of, because see, I'm subtracting all of these from the front. Here's an idea. Since I'm subtracting, I'm going to distribute the negative to all of those pieces. Let's do that first. So I'm distributing the negative to everything in the second parentheses. Negative, negative, positive. And then I can combine like terms. So these are like -3x squared. -x -6. So -1 subtract 6, -7x. And then you've got 4 and 5 is 9. Similarly, I should distribute the 4 and the -5. So -4 times a, -4a, -4 times -4 times -b. 2 negatives make a positive. And I have to make that a 4b. Careless mistake on my part. So do that again. -4 times -b is positive 4b. -5b. Positive 5a. Combine like terms, probably alphabetical. Let's do the A's first. Combine like terms, that's -4 plus 5. 1A, don't need the 1 though, minus 1B. Best looking answer probably is A subtract B. Now this subtract from, you've got to take all of this and subtract it from this. That means you write this down first. And subtract from. So setting this up is probably the most important, because I think you'll see that this feels like the previous problem or two. So setting it up is the most important part to me. So yes, we will eventually move that negative over to the right-hand side. Write this down first. You get minus 2x plus 3y, subtract 1, and combine like terms. So let's see, these go away. This is 1x, or just plain old x. Plain old y. -5 subtract 1 is, I said that wrong. -4 subtract 1 is -5. Okay, so it appears that I am done with my pages for this section on adding and subtracting like terms polynomials. Until next time, which will be the next section, multiplying polynomials. See you soon.